Hi Gary, so just a quick response, I hope, quick response video to your video. I'm just gonna play a little bit of your clip here and comment when it's appropriate.
I really like to but he says things in ways that just really do just piss me the fuck off. So anyway, we're back to this resource economy crap, which is just that crap. People gotta grow the fuck up. Alright, so the first contention he makes in this 38-minute rambly video, which, okay, so it's a rambly video, no big deal, but it's just too...
I'm not sure what you mean by rambling. I mean, every video at the end of the day is rambling. I mean, I try to condense the main contentions of the resource-based economy of Zeitgeist or Venus Project into, I guess, a digestible chunk of a video. I do think I'm doing disservice to it by not including a lot of their own arguments and not including other aspects, because that would make it a 2-hour ramble video, a 3-hour ramble video. So you're saying it's a ramble. I think it's a ramble, but it's a rational ramble. It's not a ramble just because I'm frustrated. It's a ramble because I don't know, I'm just sick and tired of the system. So yeah.
Coherent. It doesn't say anything concise and solid. It just says some ambiguous thing like someday robots will do everything and we won't have to do anything and everything will be wonderful.
I have to disagree with you here. You're saying it's ambiguous and doesn't say anything concrete. Well, yeah, I outlined the intention of my video was for you to respond to the things I said, the components of the future resource-based economy. Now you're saying that you digested, you analyzed these things in the past. You did some of them, but you didn't give them enough attention. And you didn't go over every single thing I outlined in this video. And yeah, so again, it's not a utopian society. At the end of the day, automation is going to automation is happening as we speak. I mean, as I mentioned in the video, a lot of things in Japan, for example, are already automated. Things that before that used to be done by human labor. So a lot of this boring shit is already gone. So there you go. This is a real-life consequence of automation. So all the worrying people have about robots stealing their jobs is only applicable to a capitalistic society. In a non-capitalistic society, robots will not steal your jobs. Robots would be there to relieve you of boring drudgery and to free your time to do things you want, things you actually like, instead of things that you have to do because your survival depends on it. So yes, I outlined the elements that are corrupting, destroying, the element of this system that are destroying civilization. I didn't literally tell you how we would reach that point, because that's why I linked to the videos on the bottom there, and to all the different texts that you can read. I don't know if you did that. I assume you didn't, but that text and the videos go into far more detail about how these things are to be accomplished. Obviously, I wouldn't want to go into, I don't want to recap what they say there, because that would take me a lot of time. I don't think, if you could just watch these videos and read the text, a lot of the solutions are contained there. So if you want me to make a video which would, where I specify an element and I tell you exactly how it's going to be done, it'll be a very long video, and I don't think you would appreciate that. Watching a 3-hour video about, me recapping what you can find in other sources, which put it in a far more interesting way. Containing videos, animation, pictures. It'd be more interesting for you to keep watching rather than listening to me ramble on and on about the same thing in a much more boring, monotonous way.
Well, guess what? You don't get there. You don't get to that someplace unless somebody does a lot of productive work first to create that world.
Yes, I'm not gonna contest that point. A lot of productive work has to be done. Absolutely. Robots are not going to come into existence just by the sheer will alone. Someone has to create the infrastructure that would lead to the automation of everything. And of course, in the beginning, you'll have to maintain the robots. I mean, AI research is still in its relative infancy, so it's not like they can take control of the whole world and from day one. But a lot of work is done productively as we speak. I mean, look at scientists. Scientists are not doing it for money. I mean, think about it. All the medical professions where someone is paid, I don't know, $50,000 a year. They're not there for money. They're there for their interest in research, in devising ways to cure diseases, in finding new ways to create inventions that will help society. I mean, how can that be compared to someone who makes $2 billion a year on Wall Street, who does nothing? It's a useless profession. It does nothing. It just pushes numbers around. Now you could say that, oh, stock market gives somehow shuffles money in and out, that provides funding for businesses and whatnot. Well, these businesses, a lot of times, like most of the times, are there to make money too. So stock market works to the benefit of businesses that are there to make the stock market rich. Stock market doesn't help scientific research. It doesn't funnel money to productive enterprises. It does it to unproductive enterprises that support the capitalist system. So again, yes, a lot of productive work will have to be done, but it's being done as we speak. It's just scientists are stifled by lack of funding, and by interest of the funding groups that give them all the money have different interests in mind. They don't want to, I don't know, find a cure for cancer. They don't give a shit about it. They want people to continue being sick. So they will give them money with the ultimatum that they have to make medicine that will cure the symptoms but will not cure the disease. So productive work is being done as we speak. And I'm not sure where you would go with it, so let me just continue playing the video and see where it goes.
Alright, so we're still building that world, so we still need to be productive to get to that world. And my argument has always been, if you can have that much control over society, if you have population under control and all these other things under control, well then you can just do the anti-natalism thing, so fuck all this bullshit anyway.
Sure, why not? I mean, I can't disagree with that. I mean, if we have that level of control, we can definitely take the alternative route and just do the anti-natalism thing and fuck all that bullshit. You're not gonna hear an anti-argument from me. That's fine. That's fine with me. However, I don't think it's done in linear progression. I don't think that the level at which we could do a resource-based economy would be at the same level where we can just do the anti-natalist route. I mean, perhaps we reach a level where we can have, begin to do the research-based economy, but not yet be at the level where we can just, do the atheism thing and that's it. So I think it's worthwhile looking at alternative ways of helping humanity to alleviate suffering. If anti-natalism is, not an option at that point. So I'm not disqualifying anti-natalism, at all. I'm saying it's wonderful. It's a wonderful option. So if I would have to compare anti-natalism to resource-based economy, I think atheism is better because you resolve all the fundamental questions of existence too, not just the socio-economic issues. You solve everything in one big sweep, essentially. But right now, Apholism is not. I mean, at this point in time, even though, as you said, majority of people are behaving, in an anti-natalistic fashion, they are doing it for economic reasons, not because they agree with apholism or anti-natalism. It's because they can support more kids. So the 80% that you mentioned are, once the economy picks up, if it ever picks up, they will just continue multiplying like rabbits. So that could be a significant setback for anti-natalism. So I think while we're trying to pursue the overall goal of ending all sentience, it's not a bad idea to try to install a new system for currently existing people that will help them with their lives, help them live comfortably without being a slave to the ruling institutions.
The argument isn't you save the economy so you can avoid anti-natalism. No, the argument is you save the economy because you're probably never going to be able to get people to do the rational thing. So you just try to save as many people from drowning as possible.
Well, that's essentially what it is. It's trying to save as many people as possible. I mean, obviously, a resource-based economy is not really geared towards the future unborn. It's geared towards currently existing people who could potentially live to see it, become a reality. And if people continue multiplying, then why not give them a world which is a much better world than the shit we are born into right now? I mean, yeah, it's not gonna solve the fundamental stupidity of life, nothing will, but it will make the game simpler to play. So I don't think anti-natalism / apholism and resource-based economy are on two opposite extremes. I think they're two sides of the same coin, basically.
Nothing coherent gets done in chaos, and we're heading for chaos because we don't have economic justice. But the idea, that getting rid of legacy wealth is a minor change to the economy, that it would make not a significant, profound, monumental difference in how the economy functions, in my opinion, is just crap. That's just a crap opinion.
I never said it wouldn't make a significant change. It would. And as you see me I mentioned in my video that I agree with that change. I'm not saying it's crap. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm not saying, it's bullshit. It's very rational, and it's a major source of a problem right now, where essentially richness, is being carried from, its legacy being carried from generation to generation. So it perpetuates the problem of class division. No doubt about it. However, even if we limit that or remove that entirely, class division is going to stay. I mean, can you offer me a counter argument for why? That will definitely change, things for the better. But it's not going to remove class division. The same stupid values are going to be there, accumulating wealth. I mean, how about we just put in, in addition to what you suggested, how about we put in negative interest as well, so people wouldn't be motivated to hoard cash, hoard, money. So money would sort of decay while being on the accounts, on the bank accounts, without being used productively, without being funneled into different industries. So essentially that would motivate people to funnel that money and put it out there to help small businesses, to help, people, to help organizations. I mean, right now, companies are sitting on tons of cash, and that cash is not going anywhere. It's just sitting on the account. If we have something like a negative interest, that could potentially solve a problem as well. So again, while I agree that it will have a really profound change, which you suggested, it wouldn't change values. I mean, people would still want to find loopholes to do things. People will still have the same values. We'll find other ways of keeping the class division going, keeping the same difference between, you know, the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It will stay the same. It's not going to change just because of, you know, of the changes you suggested.
It's based on absolutely nothing rational. Okay, it would make a huge difference. It is the 90% solution to all economic problems. Is legacy wealth, is paying people for not working. Because if you don't pay people for not working, then you will pay people to work. Don't you can't figure that fucking out?
No, Gary, I understand what you mean here. Essentially, people who are rich, who had their legacy passed on to them by their parents, grandparents, what have you, you know, all the huge inheritances, like, let's have an example. There's too many examples, but let's think of like Walmart or Paris Hilton. I mean, they didn't do shit in their whole lives, and they're living these glamorous lives, making, I don't know, sort of, you know, all this bullshit, all this doll collections in their names, all the Gucci bags and whatnot. It's all crap. It's all artificial bullshit that was, you know, it's all the fault of capitalistic values. And if we were to limit that legacy wealth, these sort of people are less likely to exist, much less likely to exist. And that's one thing. The other thing is, again, all of this, I mean, if we are to limit legacy wealth, how is it going to change the other aspect of capitalism? For example, do you think people should really rent, you know, rent their buildings to other people and get, you know, free money for essentially doing nothing? I mean, that's unproductive too. I mean, yes, you're helping someone who is living there, but he's being your slave, so he's paying you whatever money for, you know, and you're doing nothing. Same goes with money being on you know, living off of the interest of your money. So if you say have $1 million in your account, you can live off of that interest without doing a single productive, you know, work at all, without doing anything. And again, that's where my suggestion of negative interest comes to mind. That will demotivate people from hoarding money. So no one will have money that is just lying on the account, making them profit, multiplying their profits due to compounding interest, and would motivate them to spend that money for the economy, essentially. Again, but all of these things are patchwork solutions. Even the things I'm suggesting, it would just be a way of complementing the legacy wealth. It wouldn't, and I admit, even my things that I suggested wouldn't really solve anything. It's just patchwork solutions. These are good things. Legacy wealth is an excellent solution. It's more profound than the other things I suggested. It's not going to change the values though. Values of humanity, which are you know, woven by capitalistic behavior, basically.
That's a huge difference in the economy, where you start paying people to do work instead of paying people not to work. Ah, God.
Gary, people hate work. I mean, I didn't want to go into it right now, and since you had a, you know, since you mentioned something about it towards the end of your video, people hate work regardless of whether they're getting paid for it or not. The only people who like their work, most of the time, people who are working towards social progress, people who are like scientists, for example, they're in there to make a difference. They're not in there for monetary gains. So even if you remove legacy wealth and you make people like Paris Hilton work in service economy or something, or if not, then go, I don't know, go do some manual labor, you're gonna just perpetuate misery. These people are going to be miserable. Now you could say they deserve to be miserable because, well, they enjoyed the fruits of others' labors while being extremely rich. That still wouldn't be a solution, because, you know, I wouldn't want to see any one of them. I mean, I would in a way, but it wouldn't be a solution. So you're gonna pay people to work instead of not work, which is fine. Everyone's gonna have to do productive work, everyone, including people who are extremely rich. so what? I mean, like, do you think we're gonna suddenly love work from that point on? No, we're gonna hate it just as much as we hate it right now.
I mean, really, you know, I really don't want to go through. I've already done my zeitgeist thing. Some of the guy says I didn't do a complete, thorough analysis. I did do it. I said it's completely abhorrent to human nature. You're not going to have any commune anytime ever. Okay.
Again, as I mentioned before, you did an analysis, but it wasn't a full analysis. It was just I don't want to use the word superficial, but it was sort of a superficial analysis. I mean, I gave you a couple of links on the on the video, on the bottom of the video. Have you watched them? Do you agree with the things that are said there? Have you read at least some of the material that are linked to? Do you agree with that? Or do you just dismiss it as ramblings of a utopian, I don't know, assholes? I mean, you haven't even mentioned these videos in your response. You know, the culture in decline? I mean, again, it's, you just dismiss it, you trivialize it a little bit more than than you should. I think you should definitely pay more attention to it.
Okay, where everybody's going to get along and everybody's going to do their fair share and all this crap. No, we're going to fight over women. We're going to fight over beachfront property. We're going to fight over the first crushed olives. It doesn't matter what it is. There's the first chair and there's the last chair, and we're going to fight over who gets to sit in the first chair and who gets to sit in the last chair.
I disagree, Gary. I mean, yes, we do have competitive nature, and it's all part of a DNA molecule, and it's all selfish genes and all that stuff, and definitely. However, capitalism, our socio-economic system, is amplifying these urges. If we didn't have an environment of scarcity, by the way, you never address that particular part, and I really want you to do that. Just address the part about scarcity. And if it wasn't for scarcity, you wouldn't see people fighting over every little thing. I mean, yeah, you would still have probably fights in the beginning about, like, you know, women and beachfront properties or whatever, but eventually you will abate. I mean, you wouldn't see people fighting over resources, you wouldn't see people fighting over jobs anymore, because the system would not encourage that sort of behavior. In a resource-based economy, you wouldn't need, you know, at the end of the day, you wouldn't need you wouldn't need to work in a disgusting, boring, stupid job, because these jobs will become obsolete through a resource-based economy. You wouldn't be fighting over everything. First of all of the economic fights that are happening right now will disappear. The only potential competitive fights that will remain will be over, you know, like things like women, you know, because people seem to think that women are their property and you should just go ahead and, you know, yeah, it's the whole institution, even marriage. All of these values are all a part of capitalism. It's all a part of ancient history, and these values have been going through transition since, you know, since so many decades ago, and nothing significant has happened. All of these values remain the same. It's time for us to transition into a different sort of society. The things you mentioned are going to keep happening in capitalism. Yes, if we leave capitalism as it is, these fights will continue. Even if we remove legacy wealth, it's not going to change that. So you said it's 90% solution. It's not going to have it's not going to change the competitive nature of human beings. It's not going to even try to modify it. So people are still going to be fighting over beachfront properties and over other women and over crushed olives, whether we have legacy wealth or not.
Alright, it's always going to be
great. So YouTube video got stuck.
Right. It's always going to be musical chairs. It's always going to be some kind of competition. And so I think it's just grotesquely unrealistic to think you can have some honor society where everybody does the right thing for all the right reasons. good fucking luck with that. I don't think it has a chance in motherfucking hell.
I think you're dismissing it too easily, Gary. I mean, we all know what, that life is stupid. No one is arguing that. We all know it's the competitive nature of DNA, all the emotional bullshit trumps all reason. But our society amplifies these urges. Our society is built on top of these urges. It serves their manifestation. It's not there to hinder it. Our society, even though it's supposed to deter people from following up on their irrational, emotional bullshit, it actually helps these urges to become manifest. So if we're gonna leave capitalism here, this shit is going to continue. Yes, even with the changes you suggested.
Of ever occurring. I mean, like I said, yeah. If you cloned both physiology and psychology and philosophy in people and made them all the same, you have some hope. But outside of that, you have no hope. And I don't even know if I'd want to live in a world where I didn't have the competitive passion. I mean, the competitive passion is pretty much everything that conforms us. It drives us. It's the kernel of our breathing identity.
I'm not really sure I agree with that. We are competitive because of of our evolutionary origins. But as I said, capitalism extracts these competitive urges and makes us even more competitive than we would otherwise be. I mean, how can you look at it? Look at all the fighting that happens over jobs, over resources. Look at all the wars, how US goes to work in Iraq or Iran just for their resources. It's all part of a competitive drive to hoard more and more and more. It's all part of a capitalism, essentially. I mean, it's not just nature, it's also part of the fact that we amplify these urges. Part of being civilized, becoming a civilized society is overcoming, or not, okay, I don't want to say overcoming, attempting to modify these competitive values or lessen their influence, essentially. And again, I don't really think that it's all about I mean, you say that you wouldn't want to live in that society. I don't know how many people would agree with you. I mean, maybe it's because you're just looking at things as they have always been. We always had a form of capitalism in the world. We always had this, advertisement, marketing and all that always pushed the idea of, of fighting the other person. We always see the other person as the enemy. You're driving in the street, you see this other guy is hindering you because, he has a better car or a better girlfriend, or he's going to the same job interview as you are, but he has more skills. It's all part of capitalism. If we remove that part of the equation, it might not change human nature, perhaps nothing will, but it will definitely make it much more, much easier for people to get along. If you would stop seeing other people as simply there to stop you from going where you want to go, people wouldn't be acting so violently towards each other. Again, transitioning to a resource-based economy is first and foremost an issue of values. Unless we change the values that humanity holds dear due to capitalism, of course behavior won't change. So we have to start from educating society on what being truly civilized means. And you can't do that within capitalism, because whatever value you try to instill in them, they will just revolt against, because capitalism clearly shows them that's not the way forward. Capitalism distorts everything. So we have to change we have to remove capitalism first, and we have to educate people about different values. That will lead to the abolishment of capitalism, and then continue that education in order to construct a new society. Again, even the things you mentioned regarding living in such a competitive environment, I can attest to them, because I can definitely experience a lot of it. But I know why I experience it. It's not because humans are naturally selfish. No, it's because of the way this selfishness is expressed through the values that are not even their own. These values have been adopted through capitalism, through the ruling social system. It's all propaganda values. If we remove propaganda, these sort of behaviors will not happen. And I don't think you would. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't want to live in that society. I would. I'm not really competitive at all. I mean, I'm only competitive because I'm forced to be so by the system. I don't want to be competitive. Why? I don't care about that. I want everyone to live happily together. Yeah, I know you're gonna think, okay, it's such an optimistic little bullshit. Okay, yes, it's mush, whatever, but it's better than what we have right now. Right now, people are, as you said, slicing each other's throats for 20 cents. I mean, what the fuck is that? Why? Because they have money. If we get rid of money, people will stop slashing each other's throats, because there's not going to be anything there to be taken from the other person. This will decrease crime, decrease violence. This will just I mean, yeah, you could say, okay, but so if we're not going to slash other people's throats for 20 cents, we will do it over whatever resource we have in possession. Well, again, once we have enough for everything, once scarcity is eliminated, this too will stop being a problem.
Especially as males. I mean, it's what puts the lead in your balls.
Gary, I'm not sure what puts lead into my balls, but it's not being competitive. Does it put lead in your balls when you go to a club and you see all this competition going for different for a very small circle of girls? I mean, does that put lead in your balls? I've been there. I've done that. No, it doesn't. All it does, if you win, it gives you this feeling, oh great, I beat everyone to it, I'm the best. I'm an alpha male or whatever, beta male. If you don't do it, it's frustration. So life is a zero-sum game, but even these sort of events are zero-sum, because if you win, someone else loses. It doesn't put lead in my balls at all. It makes me commiserate for other people. It makes me feel, okay, so I won and the other person lost. So I got my win through the losses of others. It makes me depressed. It doesn't make me, well, great, I'm a man. I don't care about that. So I happen to disagree with you.
So I mean, this is just sissy talk. Sorry, I mean, this is just
sissy talk. Oh, come on, Gary. I mean, seriously, sissy talk? So you say that unless we are competitive, unless something puts lead in our balls, unless we are fighting, ripping each other's throats apart, we're not human anymore? I mean, this is the sort of behavior that was demonstrated pretty much by humanity for the past however many thousands of years. But that wasn't because, again, it's not entirely because of their human nature, it's also because of the system they're brought up into. Since birth, you're brought up in a system where, first of all, you're taught that there aren't enough jobs for everyone, that there's scarcity everywhere, that you have to fight for everything, for food, for money, you have to fight for status. All of these values are instilled in you since birth, either by your parents or by by a school, ruling institutions. Everything in the world tells you you're there to fight for survival. How can anyone else grow up in that environment and not become part of it? How? How is it possible? I mean, are you saying that the values of a ruling system have no influence at all on human nature? Again, I'm not disputing that human nature is selfish. It absolutely is. But as I said many times, the socioeconomic system, it just amplifies these urges. Instead of being there to lessen the influence of these urges, it just, brings the worst of us. If there is not enough for everyone to go around, everyone will naturally fight for everything, which is what you see happening in the world today. So I don't think it's sissy talk at all. Yeah, so, I don't know.
It's just sissy talk. Sorry, I mean, this is just stupid phantasmagorical worlds of la-di-da-ness. It's just that. It's bullshit. And again, the real problem is that we have out of control populations. We have all this desperate labor. So until you fix all these, unengineered society problems, all this unengineered civilization, until you start engineering civilization, you have no hope. And if you can possibly engineer civilization, well, then you're better off doing virtual reality or doing, let's just get the fuck out of here.
Gary, I'm not against let's get the fuck out of here. Game is stupid, it's fucked up, it's a stupid world, it's a meaningless, futile existence. Better never to have been, better never to procreate and all that. I don't contest that. I do contest the other things you're saying, because well, first of all, how do you see virtual reality happening? I mean, I'm gonna admit I haven't watched too many of your videos about virtual reality, but the way I see it, unless we progress into some sort of mind upload type of scenario where you get to upload your brain and abandon your body completely, how are you gonna maintain your body? If you're gonna be in your virtual reality forever, we're gonna have to literally abandon our biological bodies, because otherwise biological bodies will decay. I mean, think of it right now. In Taiwan, we have people dying because they spend 24 hours on a game in in those cafes, internet cafes. People find them, the EMS, emergency services, find these people slumped in in the chairs, in stiff bodies, post-mortem essentially. So they're dead, and they have to carry them out, and you see these people with these stiff limbs essentially. So that's what's going to happen if virtual reality is just, if it's a primitive virtual reality. If you want to have a more advanced virtual reality, we'll have to literally live in virtual reality. That means completely abandoning our biological shells, either becoming cyborgs or uploading our minds into some sort of cloud network and staying there for eternity. So if there's some sort of danger of death, we're just gonna do a backup copy and resume from a different copy. Essentially the same idea that you see in video games, where if you fail, you just load the previous save game. Essentially same shit. But again, I don't know. It's I'm not against getting the fuck out of here. Sure, I'm not against virtual reality. Go ahead. But of course, if you answer that question that I just asked you, how the hell are you going to be in virtual reality unless you abandon biological shells, which is going to decay if you don't attend to its needs? And virtual reality also assumes that you will never have to work unless you're doing work in virtual reality, which would essentially be beside the point of virtual reality. Yeah.
There's just no point in trying to create some sort of society where we just float around and compliment each other on how marvelous your tie is or something.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, how marvelous your tie is. I mean, all of this, I assume you're talking from a capitalistic standpoint where people compliment each other, all this fake compliment, like, how are you doing? Oh, okay, I'm fine, no one really cares. Or, oh, you have a nice car. Well, in fact, you're being jealous of that other guy's car. This is a sort of description of life in a capitalistic society. In a future resource-based economy, you're not going to have shit like that. Everyone's going to be essentially doing what they want. We're not going to be hindered by having to work for a living. We're not going to be hindered by having to achieve some sort of security, because you're going to be secure from birth. we're not going to be hindered by having to rise to some sort of arbitrary standard, because this standard will be abolished. There's not going to be a standard. You'll be free to exercise your creativity and whatever else any way you want. So are you telling me you don't want to live in a society like that? Society that has no competitive nature? Society, I mean, that essentially doesn't exemplify that nature through such horrible mechanism as we're doing right now. I mean, unless there is something that gives lead to your balls, you don't want to live in that society? Really, Gary? Really?
So whatever, I don't mean to be rude, but your video was just, it's obnoxious, okay? I made a whole video explaining why these things are big things, big changes, and you just trivialize them.
You think I trivialize them? I'm pretty sure you trivialize them, because you didn't really go through any of these things. You just pretty much fell back on your bias against Zeitgeist, which you spoke of pretty eloquently in your other videos. I mean, it's obvious that you're against Zeitgeist. I linked to some videos under my video, and you didn't watch them. I'm pretty sure you didn't, because it contained a lot of different arguments that I haven't used myself. So I don't think you actually watched them, because otherwise you were likely to have addressed them. And even if my 38-minute video was a ramble, it was a pretty good ramble in terms of outlining what's wrong in the system and what sort of things we could achieve as a society. You trivialize it by not going through these arguments. I mean, you didn't watch the videos I sent you. I mean, I linked them. You just said that, okay, limiting inheritance, legacy, or eliminating it would make society great. Competitive nature is awesome because it gives lead to your balls. I'm a sissy for suggesting such irrational mush and bullshit as having a society that is cooperative and communal. You didn't really back it up with anything. You used personal example in that, for supporting your argument, essentially. You say, okay, so people will continue fighting. You used this very same values capitalism is instilling in people to argue against resource-based economy. It's a common fallacy from people watching, people being so ingrained in capitalism that they can't really think of any other system. So I don't think it's bullshit talk at all. And just so you know, there are millions and millions and millions of supporters of Zeitgeist movement. So there are far less anti-natalists out there, unfortunately, than there are people who support Zeitgeist. I mean, if you look at all the people who are already being transformed by tuning into the idea of a resource-based economy, you'll see that there is still some sort of potential for a better system out there. People are listening to it. People are hearing what Peter Joseph and Jacques Fresco, what they have to say. People are not ignoring it. People are not saying they're crooks or anything like that. I mean, some people are, but I'm just surprised why you, with your brilliant rational mind, can just, look beyond capitalistic values.
Well, fuck you. I'm not making a third or fourth or fifth argument why it's goddamn profoundly different. But guess what? It's profoundly different if 90% of the wealth isn't in the hands of 10% of the people, or 5% of the people. Yeah, it's a profound fucking goddamn difference.
Yes, Gary, it's a profound difference. It's not profound enough, though. That's my argument. And I already explained to you in the other, pretty much in the other videos and the beginning of this video, why that is so. By making this profound change, you're not going to change values of society. Nothing is going to change. Things are going to be better, but it's not going to change values. You're going to still have the competitive bullshit happening in the world as we have right now. It's going to lead to the same sort of problems. It's going to everything's going to stay the same. Okay, let me define it as such. It's a profound patchwork solution. We need a profound solution that roots out the problem, not a solution that covers it up with more loopholes.
You can't get it? Well, sorry. I've put it on the plate. I've served it nicely. You can't find it, and sorry. I can't help you any further.
I don't think you're being, fair here. You're saying I can see it. I see it perfectly. I see it. I think you're jumping the gun here. I'm seeing really great. It will work definitely. It's a profound patchwork solution. It's insufficient though, Gary. It's just not sufficient. I mean, you're all for radical approaches, but for some reason, while addressing the current socioeconomic system, you just kind of stay on the same level as we are right now. It's not radical enough. It's profound. I see why it's profound. You don't need to explain to me further, and I already explained to you why I think it's profound. It's a great idea, definitely, but this is not what we need. I mean, after we have your changes, crap is gonna stay the same. We need more. We need to go beyond that. Do you have any solution that goes beyond that? Or do you think that this is it? Once we do that, once the 90% of wealth doesn't stay with 10% of the population, we solve all problems? Really, Gary? Really? Come on. You can do better than that. I know you can.
But I have no obligation to defend some idiotic notion that people are uncompetitive, that you can somehow not pay them, not reward them with some kind of value, and incentivize them to do something. I'm not going to get off my ass if you give me the choice not to get off my ass.
Okay, Gary, you don't need to defend the notion. I'm not saying people are uncompetitive. I never said that. Can you quote me saying that people are uncompetitive? That's bullshit. People are competitive, definitely. Human nature is selfish. It's selfish genes, it's selfish DNA molecule. It is exactly as you said. I said capitalism amplifies the competitive urges because the values that are instilled in you since you are born are values that promote competitive behavior. It's all a fault of capitalism. Again, I never said that once you have a resource-based economy, humanity will suddenly become, uncompetitive. No, it will take some time. And the best we can hope for is for humanity to be able to limit the competitive urges to an extent that they'll be able to live together in harmony and be as cooperative as possible. Okay, not to address your last point.
If I'm given the choice to do motherfucking nothing but lie on my couch and dream about a better life, then that's what I'm goddamn going to do. Alright? So you're not going to get any productivity out of me if it's all up to choice.
Gary, first time I listened to the video, to the last part, it was pretty funny because I empathize with you. I too, if I were given a choice, would not do shit. But let's dissect it. Let's deconstruct it for a moment. All the work out there right now, even productive work, involves necessarily monotonous crap that you don't care about. Automation will solve that. All the possible shit, that you don't want to do, you will not have to do. I mean, yes, you have to create a society. You have to create the mechanisms, the robots that will do all your work. But it's possible. It's just not being done right now because there is no profit in that at all. And politicians, they have special interest groups, that promote job creation, and you can have job creation with robots because robots supposedly eliminate jobs in the current system. So politicians, we don't want to transform into a resource-based economy. No, of course not. They want to stay in their elite socioeconomic capitalistic bubble. So obviously we're not going to work towards that. So yes, once given a choice in this capitalistic system, yes, it's better to do nothing. Absolutely, 100%. I'm not going to dispute that. However, in the future society of a resource-based economy, you wouldn't have jobs that would be so bad that you wouldn't want to do them. I mean, yes, if you want, you could lie on your back for your whole fucking life, do nothing. You're still gonna have all the essentials provided for you. But a lot of people will get bored from that, right? So, in our current system, your choice is very limited. Your choice is either you lie on your back and become homeless or something, or if you're lucky get enough welfare to last you for another month, or you go work at some boring crappy job trying to also learn something in school to to work at your boring career later on. It's all crap. So obviously, given that choice right now, you'd rather just lie down in your bed, do nothing. But in a future society, you're not going to have these values. You're not going to have capitalism. You're not going to have money. You're going to be free to do whatever you want. There's not going to be borders between countries. All of the dominating values we have right now as a society will just vaporize. Will be vaporized. So work wouldn't be work as such. Right now, the idea of work is associated with with monotony, with grind, with crap, with lack of enjoyment, as you mentioned. In the future, that wouldn't be the case. You can just do whatever you want, essentially. Whatever idea of fun you have, you would be able to engage in it. And yes, there will be some tasks that might be a little bit unpleasant, in the beginning. Having to maintain, for example, the operation of a robot and stuff. So you will have to volunteer maybe an hour or two every day, or maybe not every day, maybe every 2 or 3 days. But that job wouldn't even be anywhere near as bad as we have right now, because you're going to be doing something good for humanity. You're going to be feeling like you're actually doing something, for your fellow man, rather than as right now, where you're just doing nothing. You're there to promote consumerism. Ironically, you're being a slave to the very environment that enslaves you. How fucked up is that?
I mean, I don't really feel like going anywhere today, and I have to, okay? So.
But Gary, this is because you live in a capitalistic world where all the crap jobs are there and they have to be done, and you have to go do it. I wouldn't want to do it either. But that's not what we're talking about here at all.
So, if I had the choice, I'd just say, could I have the day off? And I could say sympathetically, I really don't feel good. Please don't make me have to go to work. And I could say to myself, well, yeah, I feel your pain, Gary. Yeah, I think I want the day off too, because I really don't feel good either. And so then we'll go both, walk off and go to sleep.
Gary, again, this is all going to happen if you, again, in a capitalistic system. In the resource-based economy, this is not going to be an option. I mean, it's going to be an option for you if you want, but you're going to be bored of it. You're going to want to, jump on your feet and go to do something. It's not going to be, it's not going to be a choice. Either I lie down and have fun, or I go to work and suffer. No, you're not going to suffer. Work is not going to be associated with suffering anymore. You're gonna want to do things. You're not going to be limited by money. You're not going to be limited by, why do I have to go to the disgusting minimum wage job just so I could barely afford to pay my bills? It's not going to be that way at all. You're going to be provided everything you need, within reason, of course. And, you're going to be pretty much free to do whatever you want. Because future society will not rely on money, labor, or any of that. And all the values are going to be different too.
Yeah, we really won't be very fucking goddamn productive. So if you're willing to take a huge cut in productivity, you can have your resource economy.
That's just bullshit, Gary. Come on. Cut in productivity? I mean, who is being productive right now except a small minority of people who are suffering at their jobs? The majority of people are doing unproductive work and are suffering as well. So everyone is suffering, whether you're productive or not. I mean, your whole idea of money being the only incentive for people to do anything is just crap, honestly. I mean, do you want to say people like Einstein, all the great scientists, were incentivized by money? They couldn't care less. Do you think Einstein made general theory of relativity because he wanted to have a nice mansion in Costa Rica or something? Of course not. People were driven by progress. People were driven by by the whole notion of advancing humanity, by making discoveries. I mean, you could say right now that not everyone have the same mental capacity as they do, and you'd be right. And I'm not saying that in a future society everyone would get to, everyone would get to be as smart as Einstein, although that's possible too, future transhumanistic technologies. But no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that everyone could feel like you are contributing to something, instead of being a cog in a well-oiled, disgusting machine like capitalism. You wouldn't be going, your day wouldn't start with, oh my god, fuck, I have to go to work to fucking be a retail sales agent or something. Where you're just a cog in the machine. And it's all just fake bullshit anyways. No, you would be you'd be able to realize your full potential, and you wouldn't be limited by things like, okay, I have to pay the bills, or I have to do this, or you wouldn't be limited by any of the prevailing behaviors that are direct result of capitalistic values adoption. So the scenario described, while very truthful, is only possible in a capitalistic society. So if you forget capitalism, what you described is not going to happen.
But guess what? You're not going to be very fucking productive. It's productivity. Work is work. A lot of work is actual work. It's not any fun. It's not rewarding. It's not enjoyable. It's fucking work. You get done doing it and you're fucking exhausted and you're irritable and it was not fun. That's what a lot of work is. It just isn't a good fucking time. And people aren't going to do it for goddamn nothing.
Okay, as I described to you, Gary, right now there is no particular incentive. Even, to me, monetary incentive is not an incentive at all. I don't even want to support the disgusting system. Unfortunately, it leaves me no choice. I have to work because it doesn't matter if I contribute something or not. It doesn't matter if I be doing productive work or not. Unless I'm doing something, unless I have won the lottery, or unless I inherited a huge inheritance, you will die, essentially. Which is not a bad idea, actually, but again, because of biological urges, it kind of spurs you to survive. And to survive in this disgusting society requires disgusting, boring labor. So yes, you mentioned work is not fun, it's crap, you're tired or whatever. It's all because of capitalism, though. It's all because this is the sort of jobs capitalism creates. It gives you horrible jobs, it gives you horrible pay, it takes away whatever pleasures you could experience from that, and it poisons existence even more than it's already poisoned. So you wouldn't have that sort of jobs in a real system, real socio-economic system, not relying on capitalism and its values or money. You just wouldn't. So that scenario wouldn't be a reality.
Shit.
Anyways, Gary, again, I appreciate your brilliant mind with your arguments of anti-natalism, but I think you're misguided when it comes to addressing the prevailing aberrations that are indispensable part of capitalism. I know probably a lot of the things I said today you will probably fling some insults at me and whatnot, claim I'm irrational, say mushy, whatever. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I like you for your brilliant mind. I don't care what you think of me as a personality. I don't care whether what you say to me. I agree with anti-natalism, but I also agree with resource-based economy. Whereas you only agree with anti-natalism and you think resource-based economy is crap. It's not crap at all. It's two sides of the same coin. One is solving all our problems, that's apholism. The other one is alleviating the currently existing problems and overhauling the system to the extent that our most selfish behaviors could become a thing of the past and we could finally live as a civilized society. Yeah, so again, I don't care if you like me or not, it's not a point. I'm not Professor Anton. I'm not Pyro. You know, I'm not gonna present to you stupid ass arguments about antinatalism, because I think it's a great philosophy. It's awesome. But again, I think you are being irrational, and you don't give enough thought to the idea of resource-based economy. You dismiss it. You hate it, actually. I mean, you know, you pretty much every time I mention it, you turn defensive, essentially. You know, you just say, okay, it's crap, it's crap, it's crap. We're competitive, blah 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 blah. That's it. Nothing you can do about it. Period. No, there is something we can do about it. Even though we are part of a chemical reaction, as a species, we are dirt. We are a sort of dirt that could, with the right molding, and perhaps, again, this is a key word, perhaps become dirt that can cooperate with each other and not make each other miserable every fucking second of our lives. Yeah, so, yeah, thanks.